and welcome to the ordinary meeting of Council, Monday the 25th of August, 2025. I'd like to start with an acknowledgement to country. Lithgow City Council acknowledges Wiradjuri elders past and present of the Wiradjuri Nation, the original custodians of the land on which the Lithgow communities reside. The Council also extends our respects to our neighbouring nations. Declaration of webcasting. I inform all those in attendance at this meeting that the meeting is being webcast and that those in attendance should refrain from making any defamatory statements concerning any person, councillor or employee, and refrain from discussing those matters subject to closed council proceeding as indicated in clause 14.1 of the Code of Meeting Practice. I note that all councillors are present. Do I have any declarations of interest?
Yes, Mayor, I have a non-pecuniary interest in item 8.2 on the confidential part of the meeting, and it is significant, so I'll be leaving the room.
Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Any other declaration of interest?
I do, Mayor. In regards to 8.3 and the confidential in regards to the issue discussed, I have a pecuniary interest and I'll be leaving the chamber.
Thank you, Councillor Tysus.
I've previously submitted a declaration in regards to that.
Thank you.
That's on the council.
Thank you, Councillor Tysus. Did you want me to check if it's been received? Okay, thank you. Is any further? No? Great, thank you. We'll come down to confirmation of minutes. Do I have a mover for this, please? Councillor Ring, is there a seconder? Councillor Goodwin, is there any opposition to the minutes? No? I'll consider that carried. Commemorations and announcements. On behalf of the Lithgow City Council, the Mayor expressed sincere sympathy and condolences to families who have had lost loved ones since last council meeting. Public forum. I've got a list. If Louise Lath, is that how you say it, could please come forward. You're the first to speak. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Coleman and councillors and council. My name is Louisa Umlaith. I would like to commend Councillor Ring's work on Notice of Motion 6.4, State Significant Developments. It's encouraging to see local councils working together to address the risks state significant renewable developments pose to local councils. With state significant projects on today's business papers, I wish to update council on a current issue with the Sunny Corner Wind Farm. Samiva are currently promoting their Near Neighbour program. You may have even noticed these brochures left at council. I can confirm there was a large pile left at Bathurst Council. Samiva have been promoting it in the media that the neighbouring landowners could be eligible to share in more than $100 million. Having now seen the deed Samiva wants landowners to sign, it is apparent that the Near Neighbour program has been designed to advantage Samiva while disadvantaging the neighbours. The Near Neighbour program payments are not a form of compensation. Neighbours can only access payments if they consent to Samiva breaching maximum thresholds for noise and shadow flicker set out in the New South Wales Wind Energy Guidelines. The maximum limit for wind turbine noise pollution in New South Wales is 35 decibels. The deed sneaks in the clause that you accept 45 decibels. What does an increased noise limit mean? It means Samiva can put wind turbines closer to your home. It increases their project footprint and means Samiva can squeeze more turbines into the project area. More turbines means more profit for them. The deed also sneaks in the clause about shadow flicker. The New South Wales guidelines limits shadow flicker to 30 hours per year. But in order to access the Near Neighbour payments, you have to accept up to 80 hours of shadow flicker. This is nearly triple the guideline limits. What is shadow flicker? It occurs when the sun is positioned behind spinning blades. A shadow flicks across your home and into your rooms about every second. What does increased shadow flicker mean? It means the sun spends more time behind the spinning blades, which means the turbines are larger in the sky, which means the turbines are closer to you. Again, more space for more turbines and more profit for Samiva. I contacted Samiva to ask an important question. The deed, with its higher noise, more shadow flicker, and thus closer turbines, sets out distances of turbines as close as 1,000 metres to a home. I asked Samiva what the minimum turbine distance will be for the neighbours that don't sign the deed. They refused to tell me. I emailed them back and I said that if you're not willing to disclose the distance for those who don't sign, it would seem that Samiva are lacking transparency. Neighbouring property owners should be able to understand what signing or not signing does to how close a turbine may be from their home. It prevents the community from making an informed decision.
I need an extension, I'm sorry. Yep, Councillor Fredericks. Councillor Statham, no opposition? No, carried. Continue, ma'am.
I suggested that disclosing this would be in the interest of transparency with the community. Samiva stopped responding to me. Other issues with the deed. The inability to sell your property unless the buyer of the property enters the deed. 2, the assessment of the dollar figure Samiva quotes is only provisional. The final turbine layout can be quite different, and people can be quoted one figure, but after construction and final assessment they can get peanuts, but they have already entered the deed and are bound by its clauses for at least the next 32 years. And 3, that you have to accept the construction impacts, including construction noise, outside standard hours. Another thing to remember is that the payments are taxed. Figures are actually received are much less than they seem, and they also affect tax brackets, Medicare levy rates, and impact pensions and Centrelink payments. I point these issues out as I don't want Lithgow Council to be under any illusion that the Near Neighbour program benefits our community. It has been designed to help facilitate the project for Samiva. And I hope what I've discussed tonight helps to paint a clearer picture of the calibre of renewable project company we are dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Can I direct a question through you to Louisa or to the administration, depending on who can answer it?
Yeah, sure.
Louisa was speaking about 35 decibels. I'm assuming that's the guidelines within the reses.
This is the New South Wales Wind Energy Guidelines, and there's a noise technical supplement.
Right, okay. You don't know if it's specifically only for the reses?
No.
Okay, so
I thought it's New South Wales wide.
Right, okay. Would the Director Elwood know the answer? Not on notice? On notice? Okay.
We'll take it on notice.
And find out.
I can
You
provide
send
it
me a
to you
list
if
of
you
your-
wish.
yeah,
Yep.
your issues.
Great. Thank you. Next person is Stephen Hedgick. Is that how you say it? I'm sorry if I've... Yes, good. Okay, great. If you could come forward. And Stephen, thank you for your email.
No problem. Thank you. Good evening, councillors. Further to last Tuesday evening's meeting and greet that occurred at the Wallarowang Bowling Club, known as the Coffee and Chat with our executive team and councillors, of which I did not get the opportunity to introduce myself to each of you personally. So I'll take this opportunity to address myself to you this evening collectively. Residents of Lithgow are still waiting for the formal opportunity to provide feedback on the proposed LEP housekeeping amendments as instructed by the Office of New South Wales DPI. Lithgow Council must provide a formal opportunity to all ratepayers and residents to provide feedback via your website or any other formal means. Ultimately, New South Wales DPI will have the final decision based on the letter issued to the GM of Lithgow Council on July 25th, 2025. An excerpt from the letter reads as follows. The Council as Planning Proposal Authority is not authorised to exercise the functions of the local plan making authority. Additionally, public exhibition is required under section 3.342C and clause 4 of schedule 1 to the Act. I've already tendered documents in email form, and I thank you for your recognition of that, which were a desktop planning review of my own property completed by CEH Surveys, Lithgow Land Strategy 2010 to 2030 stating large lot service lots are recommended to a 2,000 metre square minimum lot size, which was adopted on 2011 but never formally executed in the LEP or DCP. I also tendered the DPI letter that was addressed to the Lithgow GM, Council GM, specific in response to the LEP Gateway review currently underway. In addition, I provided various screenshots for the current housekeeping LEP amendments, and in my opinion, none of those are valid for the justification of removing strata lot subdivisions on all R5 and RU5 zone lands. Additionally, I provided Part 5 LEP amendments, which was a time schedule which unfortunately hasn't been adhered to, and an agenda of this evening's meeting. For the record, take note, this issue has already been raised with the respective offices of Minister Toole and Minister Scully. To reiterate, I and other R5 and RU5 lot owners, which I don't have the authority to represent them, I'm going on a collective voice, do not support some of the currently proposed housekeeping LEP amendments, and that is what I've just stated, which are specifically for the proposal of removing the provision of strata lot subdivisions on any R5 and RU5 zone lots across the entire Lithgow LGA. Should this portion of the LEP amendment become enacted, then you will eliminate the opportunity to provide dwellings in strata form on any R5 and RU5 blocks, of which there is tangible data that shows that approximately 12.5 to 14% of all buildable land.
Thank you, Councillor Statham and Councillor Goodwin. Second, if there's no opposition, that's carried. Continue.
Thank you. 12.5 to 14% of all buildable land in the Lithgow LGA will be excluded for strata subdivision in a two-lot form. All newly approved and future planned land subdivisions are not taken in consideration of the percentage I've just mentioned. I recognise that Lithgow Council meet this evening to discuss this matter, so I can only urge each of you to once again review the proposed LEP housekeeping amendments and the information I've raised and provided earlier this week via email. But to reiterate on record for today's meeting, I'd like to just bring a few points of your submission. It was tendered by one Mr. Christian Matthews from your department, and my concerns are here where the question poses, pardon me, Part 3, Justification of Strategic and Site-Specific Merit. Question 1. Is the planning proposal a result of endorsed LSPS, strategic study or report? Answer, no. The draft planning proposal is not a result of any strategic study or report. The amendments have been identified by council staff and are considered to be a minor in nature. This is not a minor matter in nature. Another point, I'll just bring it to you. In relation to the claim that it's in compliance with your 2040 LSPS, it states the removal of strata subdivision on lots below the minimum lot size of R5 and RU5 ensures that any higher density developments are funneled into vibrant suburbs within the town centres of Lithgow, Wallerawang and Portland. If you can recognise that there are already pre-approved or DA-approved land subdivisions, particularly on Great Western Highway opposite the Shell Servo and Strathland Estate. So by means of spreading centres, that is a moot point in my opinion. But again, I have no objection for future development to also include South Bowenfells, Wallerawang, Lithgow and Portland. And I'll just wrap up on a couple of other things. Here he says, manage rural residential development strategy 15.1. The removal of strata below the minimum lot size in our rural resident zones. The removal of strata below the minimum lot size in our rural residential zones and village zones aims to protect overdevelopment in rural areas where such as reticulated water and sewer are not provided. I recognise that in the time that I've owned property.
Thank you, Stephen. I'm sorry. That's
Understood.
as much as I can give you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael, welfare.
I thank the council, but what I was going to talk about is already covered by Louisa. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that wishes to speak on any item on the agenda tonight? No? Okay. There is no Merrill minute. But what we'll do, if we could please, councillors, is move a number of items by exception, if you're in agreement. And
Just before that, please, Mayor Coleman, unfortunately, I may not be able to be here at the duration of the meeting. I'm not at this point sure, so I just wanted that noted.
Okay, are you unwell, Councillor Statham?
I'm fine, thank you.
Okay, you don't need a doctor or anything?
No, thank you.
So we may move by exception. These are the items that have come forward to me. Yell them out if you don't want to. So I've got 2.3, 2.7, 210, or Councillor Fredericks, you still want to speak to that one? Okay, so that's 2.3, 2.7, then I've got 3.3, 3.4, 3.5, and 4.1.
I'll have 4.1, thanks.
Okay, I'll second that. So if we're all in agreement, that's 2.3, 2.7, 3.3, 3.4, and 3.5. Councillor Statham, are you okay? Okay, so we'll go over that again. 2.3, 2.7, 3.3, and 3.4. Were you all good with that? Yeah? Councillor Fredericks, could you move that by exception for me? Thank you. Councillor Fredericks is moving that. I need a seconder, please, if I could. Councillor Evangelides. So if there's no opposition to that, that's carried. So those four have been moved by exception. Oh, and Councillor Statham, could you please take? Yep, you're right. Thank you. Are you okay? Yep. Yep. Okay. All right. We move on to administration reports. 2.1. Is there any motions, councillors? That's the investment report. So that's the investment report, July 2025. I've got a recommendation in front of me. So, Councillor Marnie, you're moving that as the Finance Chair? Yep.
Happy to
And
move that.
Councillor Ring, you're seconding that? You're happy to do that? Councillor Marnie, would you like to speak to that, please?
Just briefly, again, the report explains some of the key issues, why there's higher cash flows during the month of July. Again, I just want to keep re-endorsing that we show where we're spending our money from. So I think that's been a great part of these reports, so we know which grant funding has come out, whether it's come out of special rates variation. So I think that helps the members of the public see where the money is being allocated. So I think that's a great thing. Can I ask a question, if I could, Mayor, to Mrs. Browning? Could you just, rather than me put my less educated view on this matter, could you explain Council's investment interest income, just that paragraph there, please?
Mrs. Browning?
Through you, Mayor Coleman. So the investment income sort of outlines what the return on the investments that we've put in. So the surplus cash gets invested in generally term deposits and some floating rate notes or fixed rate notes, and then that's just the return that gets derived from those investments.
And that figure's 3 million.
For the annual budget. Yes.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie, Mrs. Browning. Councillor Ring?
No, it's a good report.
Thank you. Is there any opposition to this report or this recommendation? No? I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. We have 2.2, review of code of meeting practice. Is there any motions, councillors?
I'll move this with an amendment.
Yes. What would you like to move, Councillor Goodwin?
I'm looking at the timeframes on meetings.
Yep.
In Chapter 18, time limits on council meetings. I'm suggesting that the meetings go for 3 hours, with an exception, or by exception, with the council to go for a further hour to mop up things we haven't actually reached.
So you're saying 11 p.m.?
So yes.
11 p.m.
So if we note it at say 10:30.
Yep.
And we have another half hour or half an hour to mop up the meeting after that. So to address all the things that we haven't.
Yep. You're moving that, Councillor Ring. You're seconding
Happy to
that.
second that.
You're having to second it. I'll come back to you, Councillor Goodwin, if you'd like to speak to that.
Yeah. Just that. There are people here, myself, work long hours during the day, where we come straight in after a 12-hour shift, and after 4 hours, after a 12-hour shift, and have to get up the next morning, it does make it a little bit difficult if we're having a 5-hour or 5.5-hour meeting. After that, it's a bit of fatigue management for everyone. I think it's just prudent for everyone to be sitting in a meeting for that amount of time, just have a break, and we can move the unattended items that we haven't reached at that time either to a special meeting or to the next meeting.
Not a problem. Councillor Ring?
As everyone knows, I'm semi-retired, but I'm involved in a lot, and I'm involved in a hell of a lot of committees with council. I don't have to get up early in the morning. Generally, I do wake up at a reasonable hour. Not general manager hours, but it's still a reasonable hour. But for someone who is working shift work, such as Councillor Goodwin, if you've got to get up at 4 in the morning to get to work, it is a serious issue. And some of the meetings we've had finishing around or close to midnight, driving out to Portland, there's plenty of wombats and roos. Less than last week I've hit 2, or actually they've hit me. So look, I think it's good for everyone. I think if we have a time limit, if we move a lot of the stuff by exception, there's a hell of a lot of committee work that's done, then we can power through and make informed decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any further debate on this matter?
I'd like to speak. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Statham.
Whereas I agree with Councillor Ring and Councillor Goodwin, by the time we stopped for at least one stop, which is what we've been doing, I think that's going to get us home no earlier than 11:30. I'm wondering would they consider coming back to 10:30 and then have a break and then do the rest of the business that we need to do. It's only 30 minutes, but you can't just keep getting home at 11:30 and 12 o'clock and the people down the mountains. I like the idea. I think we have to have quality and not quantity, but I think if we can't do a meeting between 6:30 and 10, as well as have information sessions before the meeting, I think it's just quite seriously not right. I think we should go to 10:15 and then have a 15-minute with the break, come in and work. With the break, the meeting's finished. It can be easily done. And that way we're leaving the building not much after 10:30, maybe 11:15. I think, when I listen and hear what other people do, sometimes you don't want to copy, but sometimes you have to take the lead by making something worthwhile. And I think if they would consider, Councillor Goodwin, would you consider?
I think that's really what we've said anyway.
Yeah, that's basically what they've said.
Yeah.
Well, no, it was 10:30.
It was 10:30 with an exception for.
For an exception. So it only goes,
On top of that, yeah.
Councillor Ring?
Could we make it a standard thing that after 2 hours we have a 10-minute break at 9 o'clock, just so we can all get up, stretch, get away from screens?
Well, that can be called anyway.
Yeah, I know it can
Councillor.
be. That is.
Yeah, and I think we can come to an adult agreement that at 9 o'clock we can do that anyway. Any further debate on the matter?
Yes, Mayor, I may. I'm not sure that we need to put number 3, and I think we just need to look at rather than put it into the meeting practice. I think we just need to make up our own mind on the night what we're going. If we've got an agenda that looks like it will go a lot longer, then we need to nip in the bud the quick matters that can get, like we're doing now. We're not discussing some matters, but I think you just need to. It just depends on what the agenda brings to us, and try and do it within the 3.5 hours that we've got. Up until if it's up 06, up 07, there's 4 hours. Try and fit it in with the debate there. I don't think we need to specify that it's a set time. I think you just need, because then we've got to work out. We've still got something else to do that might take 5 minutes. I think we can do it on the night as a matter of procedure, and adjust the meeting as we go along. If we can look forward to preempting what may occur, and then just suggest that all these matters be dealt with, because they're all 2-minute matters. They're all, tick and flick, and away we go. And then we can concentrate on the other matters and list them in an order and then come back at your, I think your 8:30 break, if that's what you're doing after 2 hours. And we've got a set agenda for the next 2 hours as to what we're doing. And we should be able to nip it in the bud before 10:30.
That's up to the mover and the seconder. I mean, I support the mover and the seconder in regards to the time. I think it's something that we should be doing and it should be put in place.
Can I just respond quickly? Well,
You can do your right to reply. Are you putting up an amendment, Councillor Tysus? No, are you just speaking?
No, I'm not. I'm just not agreeing with number 3. And
Okay,
I don't think it needs to be there because I think we can just as a matter of procedure, under the meeting practice, we can do things where we can shorten it up if need be. If it's a case that a couple of councillors need to leave by 10, then if we've got early notice, we can try and do the meeting within that period of time.
Yeah, so you're speaking against. Is there any further debate? Councillor Martin?
Look, I think the way we've been working, we've seen significant improvements in time management of the meetings. That comes down to the councillors. The councillors are working to make that happen. Not tending to lean a bit towards Councillor Tysos that we have a guideline that our finish is 10:30, but it's a guideline rather than a rule. So we just need to have that flexibility. But I concur with what Councillor Goodwin's trying to achieve here, that if we can manage our time better, manage our agenda better, and working through those information sessions and other things that are coming up, we know what's coming through, so we're getting pretty good briefings. I think the committees have been highly functional and we're getting a lot of information there, and I think that's starting to reflect in the speed of the meeting. So I'm happy to support either way, but I understand where Councillor Tysus has come from.
Thank you. Any further debate? Otherwise, I'll give Councillor Goodwin a right of reply and we'll put it to the vote. No? Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, my thoughts on that are that I moved this amendment in the very first meeting that we had, the first or the second meeting we had when the new council came on, and it wasn't supported, which is fine. And the reason I did that was for the same reasons. Once you get to, if there's no time limit, once you get to a certain period of time, it certainly was said that we could move an amendment or move the council meeting to another time or another place if we get to that point and it goes on. But that doesn't happen. We've seen it happen. Like get to 10:30 and then all of a sudden it's 12 o'clock and you feel compelled to stay because there is important stuff on the meeting, but you then realise that you have an important job to do the next day and you have to consider fatigue management, and I certainly have to consider that. So that's where I stand, and I think I'm just going to leave my amendment there and see where it falls again.
Thank you.
For my motion, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Good. I'm going to put that to the vote. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. We move to 2.3 has been done. We're up to 2.4. Is there any motions, councillors, in regards to this matter? It's the variation report, Walgan Road reconstruction project, concept design and environmental assessment services. We have a recommendation in front of us.
I'll move it.
You're going to move? Okay, Councillor Ring. Do I have a seconder for that, please? Councillor Goodwin. Councillor Ring?
It is, as much as I hate saying it, it's not because it's Director Edgecombe, but it's very poor going. Yeah, it's a good report. Look, it covers the issues. This is something that gets discussed at every infrastructure meeting. With the infrastructure meetings, we have a separate meeting each month. One is with Director Trapp, the other is with Director Edgecombe for their different portfolios. The Walgan Road is constantly discussed and issued and overseen. And there'll be some issues from this will be discussed at the next meeting, but it's an ongoing discussion, so I'm happy with the report and the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Goodwin?
Yeah, I'm also happy with the report. Cost blowout. The quicker we deal with it, the quicker the cheaper it's going to be for us. The longer we leave it, the cost will blow out.
Thank you, Councillor Gould. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Marnie?
I've just got a question, and it's not we've noticed, so I appreciate if you're not able to answer this, but through your mayor
Yes.
to the staff. Just towards the end of the report, it talks to the change in approach to reassess risks associated with the use of the old Walgam Road is also occurring. Do we have a timeline on that process?
Okay. Mr. Edgecombe, I'm assuming. Yeah, thank you.
Through you, Mayor Coleman. At this point, the final report is expected early to mid-September. However, there will be a detailed process of review that will need to occur both by council, the councillors, and the funding body being the New South Wales government. So it'll be sometime after it's received, it'll be released to the community. However, it will be in hand, at least in draft form, around mid-September.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Are you okay with that?
Yeah,
Councillor
no,
Marnie?
thank you.
No? Are you happy for, Councillor Marnie, are you happy for Mr. Edgecombe to have another statement in regards to that? Sure. Yeah.
Through you, Mayor Coleman, I know this isn't what you meant, Councillor Goodwin, but I just want to offer a point of clarity in terms of costs blowing out. This entirely remains within the approved contingency for this budget, and every indication exists that it will remain within the approved contingency through to project completion. Just wanted to make the point.
Thank you, Mr. Edgecombe. Is there any further debate on this matter? No? There's no opposition, so I'm just going to put it, Councillor Ring, if you're all right with that. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. We have 2.5, modification subdivision into 98 lots, 74 Hillcrest Avenue, Bowen Fells. Do I have a mover for this? Councillor Ring? You happy to move the recommendation? Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Marnie? Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Ring?
This is only a modification. It's, I believe, for another 12 blocks. I've looked at it. Unlike another one that's been contentious for us, this one also only has one entrance, except I did do a significant search of the land around this development, and it's not bushfire prone. Therefore, it doesn't trigger the bushfire regulations. Therefore, one entrance and exit is apparently acceptable. So I have no problem with it. We've dealt with it before. It's a minor variation.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Marnie?
Don't have a problem with the change in lot numbers. A theme that's coming forward to me is how we deal with drainage coming off the subdivisions, and also the potential dedication, which is it's an interesting word because basically we end up with a transfer of responsibility for assets that have got to function well, and we need to make sure their design in the subdivision is well delivered. Otherwise, we end up with assets that may or may not work for us in the future. So I'll accept it on face value, the report, but it is a point of concern that I know in other situations developers are relying on previous decisions council have made or previous infrastructure that's been approved by council to progress development. So I would like to see a very strong focus on that, particularly given that essentially every drain in Lithgow flows to Farmers Creek. Every drop of water that flows into Farmers Creek arrives at Lake Lyle, which is one of our key tourism hubs. So water quality and protection of those systems is important. We have seen some issues out of Wang in the past where I think inadequate protection of that water body came through. So I'm afraid it's probably going to go on to the broken record turntable for me, but it is something that I will look at closely as these things come in front of us as a council. The other point, I appreciate the voluntary planning agreement, because the interplay between these developments on the western side of Lithgow and the intersections as they come into play with the Great Western Highway needs a great deal of attention in my mind, particularly from a safety issue, because these may see another 24 car movements each day. This change to this development application, they will find their way to the highway through whatever intersections are available to them. So I know this has been a conversation for the councillors and the council staff, but we need to keep working on that, the safety issues on the highway.
Thank you, Councillor Money. Any further debate on this matter?
Just clarification, please.
Yes, Councillor Statham.
Page 25, lot 22 DP, 1301637. It's at Hillcrest Avenue, Bowenfells, and the other one is lot 4 DP 1230208 at Thornton Avenue. Do they join?
That's a different report, Councillor Statham, I've been advised. What page are you on?
2.5?
We're on.
Oh, righto, sorry.
Are you okay?
Missed some pages.
If Council Stations on page 25, then it is. This is actually 2 blocks.
Oh, it's 2 blocks, okay.
If you look at the attachments. It took me a while to work it out, but Council Station is correct.
All right, sorry, I apologise.
There's actually a retention basin in between the two, is my understanding.
Are you okay? Do you want to get some further clarification, Councillor Statham?
Oh, I think all councillors.
Yeah. So, can you?
Has this come from to council with the DA some months ago, a couple of months ago?
This is not the same DA, is it?
No, this has, through yourself, Mayor Coleman, this has had a DA process through council previously, not this year, and this is a variation to the DA that has been approved on the subdivision lot boundaries and changes to the boundaries and the structure of those boundaries. It changes the locations of some of the water retention and stormwater management systems within the subdivision based on the structural change to allow for 12 additional residential lots.
Is that okay?
So this is a modification request to the development application, which has previously been approved by council. Sorry.
All right. Councillor Statham, you're happy with that? Yep. Okay. Any further commentary or debate on this matter? Okay. I'll put that to you. We need a division, so I'll put that to you. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Statham, Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Evangelides, Councillor Ring, Councillor Smith, Councillor Marnie, Councillor Fredericks, Councillor Tisus, and Councillor Coleman. It's been carried. Thank you. 2.6, Lithgow Local Environment Plan 2014 Housekeeping Amendments Public Expedition.
I'd like to move it, Mayor, with 2 additional points, if I may.
Absolutely, Councillor.
If I could just give those to Trinity, because I sent her the wrong thing.
Oh, okay. No worries. I have questions regarding this report myself.
The 2 additional points that I'd like to add, point 7 and point 8. Point 7, that council withdraws the proposed amendment to clause 4.2C from the Lithgow Local Environment Plan 2014 Housekeeping Amendments March 2025. Point 8, that council include a review of clause 4.2C of the Lithgow Local Environmental Plan 2014 in the proposed growth management strategy.
Thank you, Councillor. Is there a seconder for that? I just need it. Councillor Marnie, yeah. Did you get that? Did the minute taker get that? Yep. Just popping it up now. While we wait, are you happy? I just need to ask a question, Councillor. We'll just wait.
By all means, Mayor.
Just on the top of page 25, I could ask through you, Mr. Elwood, when it says seek reclarification of all council-owned lands from community to operational, and you've listed those four. What does that exactly mean? Could you explain that to us?
Through yourself, Mayor Coleman, that point for reclassification from community to operational is a reclassification of the land type, and changing it from community to operational does have implications. It means that the land can be managed in a slightly different way. It also means that it's potentially available for transfer or use in commercial transactions if the land was to be sold. What it also does is it means that for these blocks, or potentially these blocks, if there is adjoining lands, we can do land swaps, for example, that best suit the boundary or allow for a more considered use for that site. But any of those changes would be brought to council.
Thank you. So that response.
Question, Mayor, if I may, just on that.
I'll just come back to Councillor Ring now that the motion's up. Councillor Tyson. Councillor Ring?
With the bulk of the recommendations for this, I have no real issues. With clause 4.2c, part of the being worried about minimal lot size is about, in the LEP wording, is about the impact on council's assets, resources, finances. Some of the R5 blocks, I understand, have got sewage running past them, so there's no impediment, no additional cost to council. So for those blocks, I see no reason why strata title may not be appropriate. I think it's something that just needs to be fleshed out a bit more, and I think there's no rush into this. We're doing the growth strategy. Let's include it in there and see what happens. The growth strategy looks at supporting a range of diverse and affordable housing options in suitable areas, to support a range of diverse and to align planned growth with the provision of services and required infrastructure. If we've got infrastructure where some of these blocks are, then we should be able to possibly pull them out. But I think we just need that further exploration and a different set of eyes looking at it, and possibly greater consultation with the broader community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Marnie?
Yeah, look, I would have ended up asking the same question as you have, Mayor, just in regard to the two Lake Lyell parcels, the Queen Elizabeth Park parcel and the Lithgow Union Theatre. I believe I understand the last two, which relate to the interplay with lands between the bowling club and the Queen Elizabeth Park, and I think there is, I may be wrong, so I probably should caution myself about saying stuff.
But we should get an answer. So.
Yeah, well, that's a good suggestion, Mayor. I do understand the Lithgow Union Theatre. We have a laneway and a small parcel behind the tin shed, which is community land. Having been involved in the management of community lands for a long time, councils, in my mind, should only go to changing the category of it to operational, because operational does require that it does present a position where you can sell the land. Anyone involved with the Clarence Dargan Community Hall, that was on the market at one stage, and I thank the councillors that made a determination not to recategorise it as operational and sell it, which was the plan. We now have a community hall for that community that wouldn't have been there. So every time that we look at transfer of community assets, because that's what these are, and for community use, we have to have a clear and compelling case for the reason behind it. So I will ask a question rather than me give my interpretation of what I think is
Sure.
happening with the Queen Elizabeth Park land. Thank you.
Mr. Elwood, would you like to respond, please?
For yourself, Mayor Coleman. Yes, I'll take that on notice and get a response to councillors with detail for each of those 4 blocks this week.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Okay.
Councillor
Thank you.
Tysus, I know you had a question.
Oh, yeah. I'll still.
Oh, sorry, Councillor
Thank
Martin.
you,
Were you?
Councillor Tysus. Also note, a whole lot of planning is sought to inform or be part of this housekeeping. So, and there's some valuable planning which will be consequential. All the flood planning constraint category maps and also the flood prone lands DCP. They're all significant impacts, particularly on the township of Lithgow and to some extent Barangaroo, and along with the agri-tourism. So I still think there's some things to be resolved as far as our infrastructure planning, and I'll talk to that in the motion I brought forward later. But there's areas that we've got to waterproof Western Main Street, otherwise we could end up sterilising economic zones. So the consequences of some of that flood-prone lands and the planning associated around that does need some really deliberate actions from us. Also note the speaker tonight, Stephen Pajic. I want to understand a little bit more what the speaker spoke to. I want to be a bit clearer on that before I endorse things. I'm very interested in what does small lot housing look like. I've walked up a street only a little while ago where we're now seeing potentially people occupying caravans in yards, small, tiny houses starting to pop up. They're approved by council, I would expect. But what people need for housing now is a very different kettle of fish to maybe the subdivision we just put through the process. So we need to think about how we create houses in smaller spaces. So I'd like what Councillor Ring has said, like to take the opportunity just to reflect on a few of those key points, and perhaps the growth strategy plan is a place to do that reflection.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Tysus, you had questions?
Yeah, so just for the public record, I just wanted to get an idea where the 2 Lake Lyell sites are in regards to Lake Lyell.
Good question. I wanted to know the same thing.
If I could, Mayor, page 90 of the attachment, pre-exhibition Lithgow housekeeping, attachment 2.61. The 2 Lake Lyell ones are submerged lands off Magpie Hollows Road on page 90.
Great.
89 and 90.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Tysus. Councillor Smith?
I think there's too much information in this to be found out before we start making decisions on any of this at all. Stephen spoke there earlier. I think I'd like to know a lot more about that before I start going anywhere, and also these reclassifications. I think there's far too much in this to go passing anything at all until we find out more information. I think we need some good information nights on all of this.
Would you like to move a deferral to an information session?
I would.
So Councillor Smith's moving an amendment to defer it to an information session, and Councillor Fredericks, you're seconding that? Yes? Okay. So, Ray, did you want to... Sorry, Ray. I apologise. Councillor Smith, would you like to speak to again?
Yep, I pretty well covered. I think we need to know a lot more information before we start making any decisions on all this.
Sure.
Simple as that.
Councillor Fredericks.
I have to agree with Councillor Smith on this. I think that we do need to do a deep dive and get a full understanding of it all before we make any of these decisions, because we don't know whether or not it's going to come back to bite us. Yeah. So that's fine.
Have we got the amendment up, please? Yeah, and Mr. Elwood would like to make a clarification.
Through yourself, Mayor, just to clarify that no decision on these clauses will be made as a result of tonight's meeting. This is for taking the proposed amendments for the housekeeping LEP to public exhibition prior to any decisions on whether it's accepted or not, just to clarify that.
Is the amendment there? I can't see it. Is the amendment up? No, it's not on my screen. It is now? Okay. The deferral amendment's not up. We've got an amendment in front of me. I can't see it, but we know what it is. Sorry, Councillor Evangelides, we're speaking on the amendment now.
Yeah, I mean, given what Director Elwood just said, we don't need to decide anything tonight. So
you can vote against the amendment if you like.
Well, will management be held up in any way if we defer it?
That's a good question. So that's a good question. Would you like to answer that, Mr. Elwood?
Through yourself, yeah. The public exhibition process will still need to occur for this housekeeping LEP. So any changes to time frame, just to add, what that does, it'll just add on the public exhibition period to once council endorses the package of amendments to go to public exhibition. That is the main implication. One other potential implication of any changes is that the package that goes to public exhibition, if it changes from that which has already been approved through the gateway process by Department of Planning and Housing to go forward, we need to confirm with the department that they're comfortable with any amendments to that package going to public exhibition when that is to occur. So to clarify, the main implication is just a delay in time frame going to public exhibition primarily.
So it's adding to the time of it. So we're on the amendment now. So hang on. So we're on the amendment. So Councillor Smith, Councillor Fredericks has moved it. Councillor Evangelides has asked a question. You'd like to speak to the amendment, Councillor Ring?
Yeah, I would. I'm not going to support the amendment. This project is already months behind. It's started, I think, on the last term of council. I'm happy to be corrected, but it's been going on for some time. There are 5 attachments with this report, including the report that went to the planning gateway proposal. It's 111 pages. It has the maps. It has the information in there. It's going out for public exhibition. I don't believe we should delay it. In the interim, we can have a briefing or one of the information sessions on this. Councillors then can come back when it comes back, and we can actually, if there's a move to change it, then it can be changed. But I think we shouldn't slow the process up. I think we should move ahead and just get it done.
Okay, that's fine. Any further debate on the amendment, Councillor Marnie?
I'm going to support along the lines of what Councillor Ring's suggesting. I think if we go out into the public consultation process, there is known concern about those local parcels in the community. We'll give an opportunity for those community members to bring those concerns forward to us as councillors. We can bring it in front of an information session before we bring it back for the council to endorse. Help me out. I'm just looking for a word here, but through our resolution, that's the word I'm looking for. So I think it allows the community conversation to build on some of the conversation the speaker brought to the dialogue this evening. That can be had in a public arena, bring it back in front of the council via an information session, and we can have a brief on it on its way back to council. So I'm hoping that, and I think that's what Councillor Ring's probably more directly than me is putting forward as a bit of a pathway to allow for that to happen, and whilst we can still maintain timelines and not have to modify packages and so on.
So you're saying it could run concurrently?
Yeah, I believe so. The councillors can get briefing as it's travelling out in the community, but I think it's important that our decisions are, and I know there's a few people in the room that may not agree we're always there, but our decisions should be with the community, not for them. If we've got an opportunity to kickstart this conversation in the community, that can happen concurrently with us being briefed on some of the consequences. Once we get that information back in front of us, we're in a better position to make an informed resolution.
Thank you, Councillor Money. Councillor Smith, do you still want to pursue your amendment?
I find it interesting now that some information is coming forward about submerged lands. This was visited quite some time back before I even went on council. Now we're starting to find out the submerged lands. We still don't even know where those boundaries are. We weren't given that information in the past. So I find this a little bit disillusioning in a way that was going to bring its head up again. I would prefer much more information before I make any decision on this tonight.
Okay, so you're pursuing with it. That's
yes.
fine. Councillor Statham?
Yes, I think in fairness to the people in the public gallery, the people at home, and more importantly the councillors and staff, that we have a public meeting after the 21 days of exhibition. I think we all need to be on the same page, whether that's good, bad or indifferent. We're going around in circles at the moment, but I think we should be guaranteed by staff that we will be able to have a public meeting. Not a public meeting, a meeting for councillors to attend.
Oh, so you're talking about information session?
Yes, just the councillors and staff.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Statham. I'm going to put the amendment. Councillor Tysos.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I was wondering whether the mover and the second of the original motion would be prepared to extend it from 28 days from 4 weeks to 7 weeks for 49 days. And through that 49 days, we can get our briefing and be up to date through that process. The other question I've got is I want to know whether all the land holders that will be impacted with all this will be advised, because we did, if I remember correctly, it did happen when the LEP went through in 14, I think it was, where all the landholders, and it was a very, very long process, went on for a long time, but everyone seemed to know where they were all at in regards to land. This is in regards to housekeeping. In other words, there's a couple of tweaks that we need to make. I've got no problems with making some housekeeping changes. I think that's expected from most LEPs that go through, because you generally do one every 20 to 25 years. So I'm just wondering whether the mover and second is happy for 49 days. And while we can, in that process, we're not delaying anything, but we can get our briefings and information sessions and find out where we're at and decide then whether we need to have a public meeting or not. But all the landowners that will be impacted be advised that they will be impacted?
Before I go to you, Councillor Ring, are you happy to extend it?
Well, I'd actually appreciate some advice from Director Elwood on it. 49 days seems odd to me, possibly 40, but it depends on the timeline and legislative requirements. Are we bound by legislation on the timeline, or is it council policy?
Yeah, Mr. Elwood.
Council has a policy on exhibition, but for these requirements, because it actually deals with government legislation, there are minimum exhibition periods during that time. I would have to get back with the specific advice on whether there is a period that it cannot extend past with regards to public exhibition.
If Councillor Tyson is happy, I would be happy to put another point on that if it is possible to extend, say, up to 40 days or 45 days. Yeah, sorry, I'm thinking in terms of working weeks, but we can go 42.
So you're happy to move it,
an additional
to 42, and then
Mayor, if I may, as an additional point.
Yeah. Well, I've still got an amendment in front of me.
Well, we get to that. Let's get the amendment out of the way, then I'll get back to it.
So, Councillor Smith, Councillor Tyson has brought forward a solution. Are you happy to withdraw your amendment and we work through that solution?
The main aim of this is really to get the information so we clearly know what we're voting on.
Yeah.
That's why I asked for deferral. But if everybody's happy enough to have that extra time, they think they can get the right information and then we vote on it, I assume that's probably fair enough.
Okay, so you're happy with that. So are you happy to withdraw your amendment?
Yep.
Councillor Fredericks, are you okay with that? Okay, so that amendment's withdrawn. So Councillor Ring, are you happy to?
An additional point 9, that
Yep.
would be that subject to legislation, the period is extended up to a maximum of 42 days. Exhibition periods on exhibition up to 42 days, yeah.
Can we just get some clarification?
Yes, Councillor Goodwin.
It's what we're moving is the original motion that was put up, nothing that was changed by Councillor Ring, and that we go to possibly a 42-day
No,
with an information session.
no, that's with the 2 points that I put up.
That's with the original recommendation that's in the business papers, plus 2 points and an extension to 42 days in regards to public expedition. And the council administration will take it on board that we do an information session. Is that correct?
That's all I want. I just want a clarification because there's a lot of things
So
going on.
is that correct?
Yep, just put it.
And you're happy to? And you're happy with that?
Yes, I'm happy. But just note the point 2 is currently setting the exhibition period. So maybe just modify point 2 rather than bring an additional point in.
Councillor Ring,
Councillor Ring's okay.
Yeah, look, I'm happy with that. That makes sense. Just modify that, subject to legislation to 40 from 28 to 48. That 2 days, subject to legislation.
Right, we all good?
Sorry, I'll just make one other point because just picking up on what Councillor Statham said about meetings, we're noting that point 3 is saying the council will conduct a public hearing for the 4 individual land parcels as part of point 3, with the proposal to be reclassified from community to operational. Now, that's a process that needs to play out, and but I'm just noting that there is a public interface in that decision making around that reclassification of the lands.
Councillor Tyson.
Thank you, Mayor. If I may, just in regards to, I think 1 and 2 both have to be changed. And
they have been.
So that's been changed. And the other thing, just for point of clarification with the resolution, subject to, can we just have the word subject to the legislation or something to that effect? In other words, otherwise we'll have to revert to the 28 days.
Yeah, that's a good point. Can we have that? Subject to, yeah, he's already got that in there. So that, it is in brackets, number 2. Yep, that's done. All right,
thank you.
Looks like we've worked through that pretty well.
Thank you.
We need a division, I believe. Yes. Okay, so I'll put that. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Statham, Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Evangelides, Councillor Ring, Councillor Smith, Councillor Marnie, Councillor Fredericks, Councillor Tyson, Councillor Coleman. That's carried. Thank you. That's 2.6. 2.7 was moved by exception. We're on to 2.8, waste collection services contract community consultation. Do I have any motions, councillors?
I'd like to move it with an additional point if I may.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Ring.
I don't know if I've given this to Trinity, so if I haven't, then I apologise. Additional point 6, that the results of the waste survey be referred to the Infrastructure Committee to workshop rural options as part of the waste strategy to be developed from 2026.
Councillor Marnie seconding that, I believe. Okay, Councillor Ring.
Did Trinity get all that? Yep, thank you, Trinity. We went out to the public. We asked their opinion, we've got it, and we're acting on it. That shows good faith with the community. It's one of the things that cost this council dearly with the SRV. If we go out asking for their opinion, then we need to take it on board. We're retaining a weekly bin service. Majority of people said they don't want the curbside service extended into the rural areas. Now, regardless of if that was a small number of people or a large number of people, that's the result we got. We need to respect that. I know some people are more concerned about getting bulk pickups in those rural areas, and that's something that could be worked through in the waste strategy moving forward. So I'm quite happy with the report and the work that's been done on this to date. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Money?
Just reiterating without repeating what Councillor Ring spoken to, I actually think it's one of the things we're getting significantly better at is waste management in this council. We've got a 3-part waste service for our urban settings. I agree with the work that needs to be done is in the rural landscape, and I support Councillor Ring's point 6. But we've taken the information that's come back from the community on this occasion and reflected that in the report and in the decision of council. So I think it's a good thing, and I've got nothing further to add to it.
Thank you, Councillor Money. For the debate, sorry, Councillor Fredericks.
It's just a question, really. Would there be a possibility to enhance on from this to do with the green bin, the BOGO? I don't know if anyone else has noticed, but during autumn and winter, I pick up on these type of things driving through town. I'm not seeing a lot of those green bins coming out. I see them all the time in spring and summer, but I've noticed a decrease of their presence during the autumn and winter months. Is it possible for us to look into maybe having them on a seasonal type of thing where autumn and winter, it's the opposite week of recycling that they come out? Spring and summer, it's weekly.
Great question. Mr. Trupp?
Through you, Mayor Coleman. I'd have to take that on notice because of the contractual details that surround it. Certainly something we can look at and take into the infrastructure committee is a good place where we can air that and sort of have that out. But yeah, I couldn't provide an answer off the top of my head on that one, just as we're entering the new waste services contract, but we can certainly review.
You happy with it? Take that on notice? Yep, great. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Evangelides?
I just wanted to say that being the newest Reddit's resident to Lithgow, one of the most wonderful things are our lovely big red bins that are collected every week. You've got the Northern Beaches have these tiny little bins that have a family of more than one survive. I have no idea. So, and weekly pickups are fantastic. If you've got a baby, you do not want anything hanging around for 2 weeks. So I'm really happy about this. So yeah, nice work, management.
Thank you, Councillor Evangelides. Councillor Goodwin, were you going to say anything? No. So there's no need to respond, Councillor Ring, to any of that?
Oh, just one moment,
also,
please.
Councillor Statham?
Yes. You know, I've just read here now that proposal 2, do you agree with the proposal to extend the curbside collection to the areas with Capertee, Glen Davis, Glen Alice, Rydal, Taranara and Sodwalls, rather than continue with only the existing collection areas? Why are we even contemplating not putting them? It's a growing, very much a growing village or area of our LGA, and I just don't believe they're going to be very happy at all. Is there a reason for this besides saving money?
We've actually just referred that particular debate to the infrastructure committee. That's point 6 that Councillor Ring actually put on the recommendation. So there's more clarification. We'll be working through that.
So will that come back to all councillors?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Am I correct on that, Councillor Ring?
The minutes from the infrastructure meeting always come back to council.
Thank you. Okay, so there's no opposition. I'll just put it. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. 2.10, draft water services restriction policy. And now, Councillor Fredericks, you wanted to do something with this?
I'm happy to move a recommendation there with point 1 and point 2. I've changed.
Yeah.
That after public exhibition, the waste restriction policy be brought back to council for determination.
Sure. So, have you given that to the minute taker, Councillor Tysus, or? Yeah. Just can't hear you. I'm sorry.
That after public exhibition, the waste services restriction policy be brought.
Hang on, I think I've made a mistake.
I've got you down. I think
you're up to 2.9.
I'm up to 2.9. I'm sorry, Councillor Tysus.
Thank you.
That's my mistake.
Thank you.
Could we just continue with 2.10 and backtrack to 2.9 since we've started?
Yeah, that's why we're going to do that. So, Councillor Tice, let's just go back to 210 and we'll come back. Have we got? No, I'm sorry, we can't. The minute taker can't. We'll do 2.9. So we've got 2.9. I'm sorry, that's my mistake. It's development servicing plans, mapping and service area amendments. We've got a recommendation. I'm happy to move this. Can I have a seconder? Councillor Evangelidis? Is there any debate on this particular? It's going out for public expedition anyway. Yep. So if there's no debate on this one, I'll put it to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that one carried. 2.9. Let's go back to 2.10. Look at that. I cleaned that up. 2.10. Councillor Tyson. Councillor Fredericks, I'm assuming that you're going to second that. Yep. Councillor Tyson.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Mayor, I'm happy for the policy to go out in exhibition. I'm concerned of it in the last paragraph of on page 42, where it's indicating that I can understand why the council is looking at doing this policy, but I am concerned because over the past years we've had people that didn't know they had leaks and all these sort of things, and we've made ex gratia decisions to waive fees and that sort of thing. Anyway, I'm just a bit concerned that we have this needs to be adopted in a similar way to gas and electricity, because these are the essentials for living, and there are some cost of living issues for many people in our community. And I want to have a policy that shows that we do have some compassion. There were people that have leaks that don't know they've got leaks, and they don't find out till later on, or if it happens at the start of the billing period, they don't know. So I just want to see what comes back, and certainly if we put this out and we ask the people for their views on what this should be and what we should be doing for people that do have cost of living issues, that can't afford to pay water bills, in what circumstances. So we need to have a policy that it covers all sorts of circumstances. I've got no problems with those that are doing the wrong thing, but I'm sure there'll be people that will be captured under this policy if we don't do it right, where we're going to find ourselves in a little bit of strife. And certainly we're a council that has compassion, and we've done that in the past, and we need to do it in the future. So that's the reason for the recommendation. I'd like it to come back to council.
Thank you, Councillor Tyson. Councillor Fredericks?
Yeah, that was my concern when reading this. My first thought was we have an ageing population, accidents do happen. There should be no risk of their water being cut off. So I think that is something that we do need to revise and really look into, get things in place to prevent it being someone that's old that has just forgotten, or if it's someone that's new and is not aware of a water leak or something like that. There has to be things in place to prevent those kind of things happening.
Thank you, Councillor Frederick. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Money?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. Just concur with the statements of both the councillors. We have to have a human element at the end of these processes to make sure that we don't capture people that inadvertently have had issues with the water. I think what Councillor Tyson says is very right. It's one of the key services, so we've got to ensure that people have access to water, electricity, heating and so on. I appreciate there's been a lot of policy work around this. The council does have a history of being fair. If I describe their way in dealing with this as councillors, having watched this issue come up over a number of councillor terms, there's always been that culture of dealing with it in a fair way. So there needs to be an escalation pathway that can come back to council for consideration if there's mitigating factors. I'm happy to support Councillor Tyson and Councillor Fredericks in just bringing the policy back in front of council, just to make sure we've captured community views on it. But that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Money. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Tyson, is you happy to?
Yes, I'm happy for it to go forward. Can I just suggest, listening to the other two views, that we may wish to look at what the policy is for, say, electricity and gas, and even the council's own rates, to how they adopt in regards to people that are unable to pay and what the circumstances might be. Sometimes these are just unfortunate incidents, and others are just rogues that want to do the wrong thing anyway. So we need to sort of split them up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tyson. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. 3.1, Emerging Economy Committee meeting minutes, page 45. Councillor Fredericks, you displayed an interest in this? No? Or Councillor Tyson? Or no? Okay. Someone like to move them?
I'll move it.
Councillor Ring. Can I have a seconder for these minutes, please? Councillor Fredericks. Any discussion, Councillor Ring?
No, the minutes were updated and fixed up. There was a mistake and problems last time that has been rectified. In terms of reference for the committee were adopted the last meeting. In terms of reference, I think I said then, was a shared work between the members of the committee, which is 7 councillors, and the administration. So, yeah, we're quite capable of working together as adults. So, look, unless anyone's got a question, I think it's quite a straightforward report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Fredericks, second that.
Yeah, like Councillor Ring said, it's straightforward. It's there in the minutes. Might as well just push it through.
Thank you, Councillor Fredericks. Any further debate? Councillor Marnie?
Just very briefly, Mayor. Just noting on page 46, there's an ongoing discussion about the transport corridors and rail services. Just noting point 2 of the last stop point. A number of councillors have brought forward concerns about traffic management between various points between McCain's Falls Road and the Correctional Centre. I know that staff will look for guidance from the councillors on the pathway forward, because it also spoke to issues that have been raised by councillors here in the room, such as Bells Liner Road, Great Western Highway and the Marangaroo intersection. So there's a number of transport issues, particularly the highway corridor, that keeps reoccurring as a theme. I think there was, for the LEAP committee, I think there's some fairly clear position from council that they do want to see a safer highway, that they want to see the intersections made safer, and I can't think of one of them I would describe as safe, except maybe the main traffic lights at Kentucky Fried and McDonald's, unfortunately, as they're the landmarks to mark out our safe zones. But the entry into Marangaroo Fields, the entry into Coldrew Drive. I sat with a resident who drove me around one morning, watching the behaviours of people going through those zones, people adhering to 70 zones when clearly travelling well in excess of that. Coming out of First Avenue and going west, you're completely taking your life in your hands. So the Emerging Economy Committee is dealing with those matters and trying to progress those issues and picking up on some of the concerns of the councillors in this group as well.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Any further debate on this matter? No? Councillor Ring, you happy for me to put it? Or you
Put it.
Yep. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. 3.2, Infrastructure Committee meeting minutes, 5th of August. Do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Councillor Ring. I'm happy to second those. Councillor Ring?
We did talk a lot about the Claridash subdivision, and we did get a good outcome on the stormwater issues. Unfortunately, we're not going to get a good outcome on the road issues. But I have been speaking with Director Edgecombe and the administration trying to pull together funding so they can actually do a transport management plan, which would look at Claridash Estate, whatever Mumbingo Drive Estate is, or whatever it is, and the areas immediately around it, so we can actually get a better understanding of what the issues are and how to manage them. It won't necessarily be the result that the residents of Mumbingo Place want, but it will still hopefully be a positive outcome for the community overall. Unfortunately, we can't do much about bad planning decisions made in the past.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. I just want to acknowledge the work that Mr. Edgecombe has done in this space, especially in regards to the Great Western Highway medium strip. We're actually getting some traction there. So congratulations on doing some heavy lifting in that space. Hopefully we'll get an outcome that suits all. I also want to just acknowledge that Mrs. Morris made a contact regarding EV chargers and how she explained that there is an opportunity in that space and it's now easier to charge, because I am concerned about safety around travelling over the Belsliner Road. So I just wanted to make that note in this particular report. Any further debate on this matter? No?
Put it.
Happy to put it? All right. Put all those in favour? All those against, declare them carried. So 3.4 was moved by exception, I believe. Yep. And so was 3.5. Oh, 3.3 was moved by exception. 3.4 was moved by exception. Yeah, now we're up to 3.5. Councillor Marnie, I know that you had an interest in 3.5.
Briefly, Mayor, so
Are you
I'm
moving
happy
the
to move it.
recommendation? Can I have a
Yes.
seconder, please? Councillor Fredericks. Thank you. Councillor Marnie.
Just to, for the councillors, just that they're aware that there was considerable discussions around the role that grants play in renewing and maintaining, probably more renewal. I don't think many grants are going to line up to put out money for maintenance. But one of the suggestions there was challenging us as a council to look at whether we can line our operational budget as co-contributions to proposals that are perhaps put in advance. So if we're getting things that are happening 12 months in advance that we can see coming over the horizon. And again, that's the importance of the asset management plans that see these renewal moments appearing, that we can actually plan together with the community to perhaps use some of our budget as a co-contribution towards grants. I think there was a fairly involved conversation. I know a lot of people reflected on Willow Glen up at Mudgee, but it's a different setting. I've had a look through all the funding that became available, and there were multiple grants in excess of $6 million. There was a huge amount of money that went into that precinct, and we don't have that style of footprint, but we do need to look at the role that grants play in modernising our sports facilities, and also trying to take a couple of the winter codes out of the dark ages. It's getting to the point that the lighting systems, we certainly won't be having a Canberra and Penrith last second thrilling win in Lithgow because we don't have the facilities here, but Mudgee certainly do. But we could certainly have facilities that could run training events and squads coming up in the pre-season. So there's opportunities there. The other issue that came through was the need for women's and girls' change rooms in a lot of the codes, and so that's an issue that there is funding out there, so it's something that we need to look at in the economic development sphere as much as the sporting sphere. Any of the people, there's a lot of councillors here have been involved with sport for a long time. You get a regional competition, you get a stack of people staying in town. So I see it as economic, social, and a livability issue. So I know that the chair, Councillor Goodwin, and the mayor were asked to continue these dialogues, and I expect they will. And there's some opportunities there that maybe we can focus in on, but I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Councillor Marnie. Councillor Fredericks.
I'll be honest, we've got to support our youth in any way we can. If supporting them doing their sports is one way to do that, then let's jump on board and do it. And as someone that was taught by a Hockaroo, Joe Banning, it means a lot for it to be in a position like this, to be able to get the youth to something like this. So I'm all for it, and let's do it.
Thank you, Councillor Frederick. I'd like to acknowledge Councillor Goodwin, who is the chair of the Sports Advisory Committee, and is continuing with the dialogue with the sporting group and is doing really well in that space. So thank you, Councillor Goodwin, in regards to doing that. Is there any further debate? Yeah, Councillor Ring?
I'll be quite honest, I'm not a fan of co-contributions or dollar-for-dollar grants. This council's got into significant trouble in the past by overcommitting to those sorts. I'm not opposed to seeking for grants, but I think you've got to be very careful. And yes, sport's important, and we need facilities for the young people, but unless we actually as a council get some economic growth here and population growth and get the missing segment of our community, the 20 to 45-year-olds grown, we're not going to be talking about upgrading the facilities for young players. We're going to be talking about upgrading the facilities for geriatrics and wheelchairs. So I thought I'd just throw that in.
Thank you, Councillor Rin. Is there any further debate on this matter? Okay, we'll put it, shall I? Yeah, right reply, Councillor Money.
Co-contributions are an extremely powerful tool, but if you allow them to take you down the garden path in a direction the council doesn't want to go, they're a problem. So I'll accept there's a risk, but having worked for a funding body for a number of years, the most powerful applications are when the owner of the buildings put their own hands in their own pockets and draw out cash and say, we'll put cash to this because we think it's important. We think what the community is doing is important. You try not to allow it to divert you down the pathway you don't want to go. Unfortunately, on some health issues, we lead the league table across the state, and on not league tables we want to lead on. So any initiatives that improves livability and improves active living, and that includes us old folk who don't mind getting out and doing walking and things like that. We've got to bring the infrastructure into play that we can. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. I'll put that to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Okay, 4.1's been done by exception. We have questions with notice. I have a question on notice from...
I pulled up 4.1 now.
Oh, 4.1. Sorry, I apologise. 4.1, Councillor Tyson, page 54.
Yes, I move the recommendation, but I just want to know...
And I need a seconder. Sorry, Councillor Tyson. Councillor Fredericks, yep. Yes, Councillor Tyson, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I move the recommendation. I just wanted to find out what was the feeling of the joint organisations, because they represent a lot of the councils that have now got or form part of the res for the Central West Tablelands. I just wanted to know what was the feeling of the councils and the mayors and the general managers in respect of wind farm, solar and hydro that are impacting us, Bathurst and a number of other councils. What is there a mood within the joint organisation to actually do something, or are they not doing anything, or are they going to be able to help Lithgow and Bathurst and Oberon as well?
So I'll actually allow Councillor Ring to answer that question, because he actually attended the last meeting on my behalf, because I actually had to work. So Councillor Ring.
Part of the result of that meeting is the nom I've got at the end of this session. The councils state significant. There's not a round table that I attended on behalf of council at Paul Toole's office in Bathurst with all the councils in his electorate. There are a number of groups opposed to wind farms presenting their concerns to all the councils. Two things that came out of it. One, that Mr. Toole made it very clear that none of the state significant development projects have actually been knocked back. The second, and for me the most important, was having Brad Cam, the manager of Midwestern, there talking about their experience. And he spelled out everything that they've had happen, the problems. It's hard to stop these. We can try and minimise the impact. And as a consequence of that, I've raised it in general business because, unfortunately, the joint organisation is not a member of local government. All the councils there supported it. I've sent out information to all of them. Bathurst, Oberon, have already put through similar notices of motion that I did earlier. Blaney does one tomorrow night. Hopefully tonight what I put will get through. There is concern. Everyone's got the concern. These documents now are 9,000 pages plus the EISs. 28 days to review for a small regional council, particularly when you have multiple projects coming in. It's just ridiculous. So there's consensus within the JO. Dubbo and Mudgee Midwestern councils are also spoken to. They're also supportive. It's about a number of councils getting this up. It's about getting greater guidance and support off the government with these projects. Not so much about stopping them because, as Mr. Cam said, he's thrown some barriers in front of some of the projects about not allowing roads to be used. Unfortunately, he's being told that if they cause too many problems, the government will just override. We need to be able to, at the table. Everyone's concerned about it. We're trying to get a united voice and a united presence. But a lot of the issues that I've raised later in the meeting are ones that are consistent across every council. And if you go to Midwestern, you can see a report that was done by Price Cooper's Waterhouse for Midwestern, which looked at the impact of these developments on their economy and their community. And they are significant. Apart from the impact on residents, there's impacts on sewage, water, roads, waste. Mudgee's tourism nearly got destroyed by these projects when they first kicked off. All the accommodation was taken up with workers. An example was given of one camp where roughly 2,000 workers for their health services are proposing one practitioner nurse. That's not good enough. These projects put massive demands onto our community. We shouldn't be footing the bill. The community shouldn't be. These proponents should be footing it. That's where the councils are all going. They understand the limitations of what they can and can't do. But this is about getting a united voice at the table with the government to get significant change that helps regional councils in particular.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Frederick, you're a seconder. Would you like to speak to this?
It's having someone be able to explain the feeling and everything about it actually gives it a bit more of a point of view, and I'm thankful for that. Thank you, Councillor Ring.
What will be great is when we go to conference later in the year, we'll also have a better understanding when we get down to conference later in the year. If there's Councillor Statham, did you want to have a...
Thank you, Mayor Coleman. I've been subject to attending some meetings, and I give the people in the audience a great deal of merit. They've been following this ridiculous situation now around for a long time. But what the wonderful part is for our local government area, particularly from Taranar, Rydal, Mount Lambie, Glen Ullis, Glen Davis, Portland, Wallerawang, Yet Home, it's not in ours, and Kirkconnell and Sunny Corner. We've had nobody say no at one of our meetings. Over 200, I think there was 228 at the last meeting. No arguments, no bad feelings, just people wanting information that is correct and accurate and getting the stats that will help the food bowl of New South Wales, which is from probably Lithgow actually through to Cowra, destroyed, people's lives destroyed because of their savings that they've had from selling their houses in Sydney and coming round to the Portland area. But the most important thing for me as a citizen, not a councillor, as a citizen of a person who owns a farm, I can understand why they're devastated. The schools are devastated, the Blinky Bill, you name it. Everywhere I have gone, which is not that much over the last 2 months because of illness, but I can tell you I am overwhelmed. And these ladies up the back, we've sold about 300 flyers possibly now, all positive, no fighting, and that is whatever the outcome is. I like the way people have gone about it in a respectful, encouraging way.
Thank you. Councillor Tisis, would you like rather reply? I'll put it to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. Right. Question we've noticed. Councillor Tysus, you've got a question there. Yep, it's been responded to, so that's fine. We move on to question we've noticed. Councillor Fredericks, it's been responded to. Yep. Do you have questions? You can ask questions on that.
Yeah. Where is the health survey that was part of the recommendation?
I understand you can't ask questions.
Yeah, you can ask questions about your questions.
No, you couldn't.
Yes, you did. Yes, you can. It's in the code of meeting practice.
No. Hang on. I was at a meeting here, and once it's tabled, that's it.
You can ask questions on your questions we've noticed. I offered that to you the last meeting, but you didn't take it.
No, because
you cannot move a motion because it's not a motion. You can't move a matter arising, but you can ask a question.
I didn't move a motion.
No, you move. I'm not going to argue over this.
No, but I understood you couldn't. That's
it's in the code of meeting practice. You can ask a question on your question. It's in the code of meeting practice. I offered that to you the last meeting. We can go back. You can ask a question on your question if you like, Councillor Tysus. No, I can bring the code of meeting practice down to you and I can show you where it is. I never said that. I said that you can't move a matter arising, but you can ask a question. But it's in the code of meeting practice. Councillor Fredericks.
Yeah, I just wanted to know where the health survey was because that hasn't been mentioned, but it was part of the original council resolution.
Yeah. So can we answer that for Councillor Fredericks, or we'd take it on notice?
Yes, I can take it on notice, but I can also advise that the intent is to run that survey or a survey once we bring it out to the Health Working Committee later this year, with the intent to inform the Health Expo, which is scheduled for next year.
Thank you. .3 question on notice. Councillor Tysus, do you have any questions in regards to your question on notice? Thank you. All right. Moving on from there. Notice of motion. 6.1. Councillor Tysus. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Tysus.
Recommendation.
Yes, and Councillor, who's seconding your Councillor Fredericks? Thank you. Councillor, you have the floor.
Mayor, I think this worries me no end that this council would be doing a project worth $385 million. By the time it gets going, it'll be over $400 million. And by way of comparison, that is doing everything at Medlow Bath on the highway, doing the road there, and doing the road at Little Hartley that was 220 million, and the other one's 170. It's nearly $400 million. By engaging in this process of funding from both these two agencies, we are going to get set up to fail. We cannot. We're having struggles doing our own stuff here, running a council, and here we are doing a 3-kilometre road worth over $400 million. It's impossible. If we do not put this back on the Transport for New South Wales and the state government to undertake, it's their money, both the state and the federal government. There's no reason why they shouldn't be doing this major project. This would be like us putting a tunnel into the Wildman Valley. I mean, we just don't have the ability to do it. We're going to have contracts here, independent committees here, this, that and the other thing here, consultants going left, right and centre for all sorts of different issues, and there's just no way we're going to do it. We as a council need to support this unanimously and put it back on the state government to fix it up. They've already provided the money. We've given them the project proposal. They need to do it. This is not something that we need to be taking on at all. You know, we're doing our own roads. We're doing this, that and the other thing. We don't need the staff to be running around doing this for the next 7 years. This needs to be done by someone away from us. And that's the reason for the recommendation. I move that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Tysus. Councillor Fredericks?
Well, I completely agree with what Councillor Tysus just said. I am very nervous about us taking on a project this big, especially with the 995 kilometre amount of roads that we do have to maintain ourselves already. This is just added pressure, not just on staff, but on the community as well, because if we focus all of everything onto the Walgren Valley instead of handing it back to the state government to take over, how much attention is it taking off the roads that we do need to fix for the rest of the community as well? And I do panic, especially when it's this amount of money. And is there any other council in New South Wales that's doing a project such as this on something that should actually be getting tackled by the state and federal governments, not local council?
Thank you, Councillor Fredericks. Councillor Ring?
Yeah, I'm going to oppose the recommendation. I'm not going to put out an amendment. I'm just going to oppose it. As for other councils, my understanding is, I think it's Armidale has a similar project for a similar amount for Waterfall Way. Like this council, they tried to get the government to do it. They refused. Mr. Edgecombe knows internally this council does not have the capacity. The government knows. The $385 million that we have been provided with includes a significant section for project management, with project management who experience far more than what our staff have. Our staff will not be losing time on this project. They won't be working on it. Mr. Edgecombe will have an oversight role of the project manager, but the project manager will be contracted to run the project and be held accountable for it, not our staff. Mr. Edgecombe, this is something that will be raised. I'm going to raise the information session next week. In roadworks alone, over the next 6 to 8 years, this council will be doing at least $500 million worth of works. The bulk of that will be done by project managers, external to council, under council's contracts, but it will not impact. This has been discussed at numerous infrastructure committee meetings. It's been discussed at a number of information sessions, and at no time have the staff been that arrogant to assume that they have the expertise or the skill. They are well aware of the limitations and the problems with this project, and I support the way it's being managed, and as such I can't support this. The government's made it clear they will not take on this project. They won't do it for Armidale, they won't do it for us. We just need to get on with it and make it happen.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Any further debate? Thank Councillor Evangelides.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident we wouldn't have been allocated the money if the government felt that we hadn't addressed the whole project appropriately with the right people in the right place. So I won't support the amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Evangelides. Any further debate? I'm not going to support it either. We've actually asked the New South Wales State Government to take it on. They've refused. They've made it very clear that we're responsible because it's our asset. We've already asked. They've said no, it's our asset. It's as clear as that. Any further debate on this matter? Right, a reply, Councillor Tysas.
Thank you, Mayor. I said what I said because if you're talking about project management, and then we're going to have, and we've seen it before, if it's over 7 years, we had issues with the footpaths because we had different project managers come and go. Some didn't want to do it, some went somewhere else, all that sort of thing. This is a 7-year project. It's going to be big bucks. You've only got to miss one deadline and you're out the door, and you're half stuck with a road that goes nowhere. I'll be moving that we vote on this tonight, and the hands are going up to find out who's for it and who's against it, because I'm not going to be held responsible for this. This is such a major project, and we don't have the ability. You can't believe that we've got the ability to do it. We're not going to project manage this. This is just, we're getting set up for fail. That's where I sit. That's what's going to happen, and I'm going in the minutes tonight to say I didn't support it.
I'll put that motion. All those in favour? All those against? The matter's been lost. A division has been called. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Councillor Fredericks, Councillor Tysas. All those against? Councillor Statham, Councillor Goodwin, Councillor Evangelides, Councillor Ring, Councillor Smith, Councillor Marnie and Councillor Coleman. The matter's been lost. Thank you.
Could we possibly have a 10-minute break, Matt?
Yeah, good idea. Coffee would be
Yeah.
nice.
So Councillor Frederick, you're moving that way. 10-minute break. Can I have a seconder for that? Councillor Ring. No opposition. Carried. 10 minutes. Thank you. If I can please have a
I'll move that way.
a motion. Thank you, Councillor Goodwin. Councillor Fredericks, we go back into the meeting. Thank you. And if there's no opposition, that's carried. Thank you. We're now up to 6.2, notice of motion by Councillor Marnie, progress report local roads network. Councillor Marnie, you've got the floor. Is there a seconder? Councillor Fredericks is seconding that. Lovely. Councillor Marnie, your motion.
Thank you to Councillor Fredericks for the seconder.
Just what are you? Can you just please read out what you're moving?
Sure.
That'll be great.
I'm putting forward a notice of motion for a request for progress report detailing current works programs and I'm struggling. And I propose strategic directions to address the condition of our local road network. And in this case, with particular emphasis on urban collector roads and link roads between our rural communities. So I'll put a little bit of background. I won't read it verbatim because I'm assuming everyone's read it. It's a relatively brief report, but we're looking at about 1,000 kilometres of roads that we look after, 48 bridges and 130 k's of footpaths and cycleways and 279 k's of curb and gutters. The roadworks will happen at different scales, and Councillor Tyser spoke to obviously at the very top end with the Walgam Road project. Then we're in our neighbourhoods doing work. I look at it from a strategic point of view that we've got a series of collector roads, which I'm seeing as main sort of roads into particularly Lithgow. The same situations happen in Wang and Portland. It's not unique to Lithgow, but if we come from the westbound, we come in through Cool and we'll travel along Colebrook and Geordie and Sandford. That links us to the waste. It also links us now to the Gardens of Stone. Similarly, will it come down Inch Street and up through Atkins Street to the Gardens of Stone. Bayonet Street and Methven Street bring people in from the southern portions of the southeast portions of our LGA, and so same with Hartley Valley Road coming up Browns Gap. Equally, Lander Street plays are yet to be sort of activated. There will come a time that some of those southwestern and southwestern subdivisions will link through to those streets as well. So I think it's my sort of thinking, and look, there's been some good work in the infrastructure committee, both in the reports that we're receiving from staff and the dialogue that's happening between councillors. Some of the works I'm sort of seeing as being they can happen now, and others will need to be budgeted now. Councillor Ring spoke to a total budget. I'll leave him to unpack that number, but the number that I'm aware of is that we've got an 80 to 100 million plus backlog of roads. We need to have a clear strategy on how we're going to take that expenditure forward. In the urban settings, it can be things, in my mind, that people have spoken to me in the Inch Street, Bell Street segment about whether we can renew line marking, improve line marking as we get higher volumes of road traffic moving on to that. Obviously, Atkinson Street is in fairly poor condition. If that Gardens of Stone traffic does manifest, which I believe it will, we need to be ahead of the game rather than running from behind. And equally, and it's I don't know that there isn't a single councillor that hasn't brought forward issues surrounding the link roads between our rural communities. So they play important roles about how people get to work. They play important roles in how kids get to school. So there's school bus routes. I also acknowledge the work that Jonathan Edgecombe's doing as a director around testing where are your main tourist pathways or roadways. So we're layering all that, and hopefully we're getting to a point where we get a stronger strategic approach. Obviously, Magpie Hollow Road, will link out the Taranara and out into Oberon Shire. So there's smaller links, and the obvious Piper's Flat connection between Wang and Portland. So I just want to see, as a councillor, and I expect so many other councillors would, that we have a strategic approach, that we're working through that stuff systematically. So I do want to acknowledge the management comment. I think Director Edgecombe's taken this opportunity to give us a really good understanding of the work that's going on in the background that at times is unseen. So I'm seeing all the things that a number of councillors have been asking for a long while: the whole comprehensive asset condition assessment, the verification of these assessments through the LiDAR, putting staff in place, putting the vehicles in place so we can continue to build that capacity within our own organisation to get these things right. And that we've got a planned 6-year renewal strategy. We're looking at tourism routes, we're looking at quality assurance procedures, and this interplays a bit with the joint organisation. And my other motion was, how do you pay for this stuff? And how do you get the interest we need from state and federal government to continue to fund regional roads? So essentially, it's an opportunity to bring this out into the light. And again, I thank you, Mr. Edgecombe, for your commentary and the detail you put into that.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Councillor Fredericks?
I agree with everything that Councillor Marnie has said. The one street here that is catching my eye significantly at the moment is Bayonet Street. Come October, that is going to be free for all because it's that hotel in the corner. And I've even noticed with that road in particular, especially with the water that we've had recently, it was actually making the tar bubble up and letting us know that there was burst pipes underneath it. That road is also difficult because it does have a major business on it. But I honestly, and you can call me out for it if you want, but that road does need to, in my view, it needs to be completely pulled back. Everything underneath needs to be checked and then relaid, and it needs to be done before October. Otherwise, people that are staying at that hotel to attend the races, that's going to be their impression of Lithgow. And that is not a good impression of Lithgow at all. It's a main vein. Numerous people are on that. Doesn't matter what time of day or night it is. There's always at least one car on it. I honestly believe Bayonet Street at the moment should be a priority to get done.
Thank you, Councillor Frederick. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Ring?
Yep. First, a question for you to the administration, if I may.
Absolutely.
The administration, because I can't remember what's on the financial list for roads this year. Is Bayonet Street on the works program this year?
That's a good question. Mr. Edgecombe?
Thank you, Mayor Coleman. I'll take the specifics on notice, but my recollection was that it was in the plan for this financial year. However, it was removed so that we could factor in and deliver the disaster recovery program across both slope rehabilitation, road pavement and surface resurfacing. So it's been shifted by 1 year, the full rehabilitation being the reconstruction of the pavement and resurfacing, to 26-27.
Thank you for that. Look, I don't agree that this has been in the dark and been brought into light. We've had a number of meetings. We've had some information sessions. It's discussed regularly in the Infrastructure Committee. It should be a standing item both in infrastructure and in finance. The 6-year plan isn't set in stone at the moment. What has been put up is a draft plan for $88 million. The cost of that works could blow out significantly, but that was looking at borrowing, I believe, $20 million as well, and using our own funds from our capital works and from the SRV. Now, whether or not we borrow that $20 million is still yet to be determined. We're still waiting on reports being brought back from Director of Finance and Director of Infrastructure. That needs to be done. I do note I do acknowledge that Councillor Marnie did acknowledge some of the outlying areas, but a lot of this is all about being Lithgow-centric. Our roads need to be based on a number of agreed factors: usage, risk, condition, not necessarily where they are or who owns them. It's got to be done in a transparent manner. There's a lot of work being done to improve the way council is actually managing its roads. There are new staff being put on to actually build up capacity within the organisation. And even the testing that's going on, I forget what the whack-a-packer thing is, they drop the thing on the road to see what the, well, whatever, I'm not an engineer. But to test the strength or the condition and integrity of the road base, we haven't done that before. There's a lot of things being done we haven't done. They're building up capacity. I think the staff should be congratulated, but I do agree that we need to make this a regular discussion at all finance and infrastructure meetings. Having items discussed in multiple committees is not a bad thing. Each committee brings a different perspective and different understanding to the project and different concerns. So I will support it, but I think I'd actually slightly commend the staff on what they've done to date.
Thank you, Councillor. And Councillor Statham?
I believe this is one of the very big hot topics of pretty much all our LGA, and I do congratulate the people involved and the leaders of that area. So I do involve Mr. Edgecombe into that. There is a lot of work. They have all different hats to wear, but at the end of the day, if you're living on a road that's a very popular road, and I won't make a conflict of interest, I won't be saying that. This is just a Sunny Corner Road, a Curly Dick Road. I went down that road just recently and I thought, oh my goodness. Now, my sister came down a year and a half ago and the big holes, and she can't believe how we can't get it fixed. The problem being is we don't have the money allocated to do improvement work. We have money allocated to do sheeting work that is simple, not effective when we've had so much rain. So I'm not pointing the blame, but what's occurred just over the last couple of weeks is the excessive amount of rain has deteriorated the roads to an extent where now I've got people coming in saying, get me somebody to pull them out. The other thing I'm wondering, and I'm not giving Mr. Edgecombe any blame on this, the weather has been horrific, and I know you've only got so many people working for you. But the other thing is, I'm wondering, is it a common thing for people to come in here and complain that they've had punctures or flat tyres or anything to do with their roads that have caused great stress?
Is that a question, Councillor Statham? Mr. Edgecombe?
It does happen. But council has a sound process for assessing those. So there is a portal on our website for anybody to lodge those claims with council, and we'll assess them accordingly.
Well, I've had 2 flat tyres, 2 new tyres, and the other day, and only for other people pulling me up on the side of the road, I wouldn't have got home. And I'm not a fast driver. And one was down in front of Lithgow School, just up this way, and it's very difficult when you're on your own over night time. And it scares the heck out of me. So I, for one, just representing a lot of people that's in the same situation, this is not putting more work on you, but the sooner we can work out that you can do betterment programs on areas that are just not fixable. And one of those areas is near Portland Cemetery, and the other one, I haven't seen Curly Dick Road for 2 weeks, but that one around Portland Cemetery, I myself, with somebody in the car with me, got over because of the low profile tyres that I had on at the time. And yes, I didn't think I'd be coming out of that. So I think that is one area, nothing to do with me living on the road. I'm getting complaints again tonight from people up the back. So I think there are roads that that takes all the traffic to Mudgee and to the Central West if they go through Portland and to Bathurst. So I think that's one smaller area of road right on that corner that needs to be pulled up and done properly before somebody gets seriously hurt.
Thank you, Councillor Statham. Any further commentary on this motion before I give right a reply to Councillor Money? No? Before I give right a reply to Councillor Money, congratulations, Councillor Money, in regards to this recommendation. You've basically got a mini report in regards to the management comment. So that was fantastic. Director Edgecombe providing that. It was great. And I just want to make a comment in regards to the infrastructure committee that meets every month. That committee is so important to council. It works through the nuts and bolts of what needs to happen in regards to roads. It's important that that committee is continuing the way it is, and the fact that it's once a month is great. So that's really important. Right, a reply, Councillor Money?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of comments just to respond to. When I talk about bringing things into the light, I talk about bringing them into a public meeting forum. I'm not in any way critical of staff not doing the work, or even the councillors not doing the work. The work is happening. We need to bring back what is happening. We also need to bring back what people are asking of us, and we need to bring that in a public forum. That's why we have these meetings, and they provide an opportunity to make decisions around that. I'd agree with Councillor Stephen. It is the hottest topic in the LGA. It's roads. There's a few of us left, not many, but there's a few of us who voted for the SRV, which has given us additional capacity to put into what was the primary asset group was roads. So there was an opportunity there to when the asset management plan came across our tables and we actually saw the full picture of what was in front of us, there is an opportunity to map that out. There's, as Councillor Ring said, a consideration of whether we borrow money to bring roads back into reasonable condition early rather than let them fail and then go to a complete rebuild, which we may in fact end up paying more than we did. But anyway, I hope staff didn't take this as a critique of the staff, which is not the intention, but I, as a councillor representing residents, will bring forward things. I also just acknowledge Councillor Frederick's comment that streets like Bayonet Street need to be pretty much taken apart. If we got water infrastructure sitting under it, and it needs to be moved to the side, that cross-play across asset groups needs to happen. So these are the things that are happening in the infrastructure committees. These sort of conversations are happening, but you're absolutely spot on as far as the pathway forward for that. That's my understanding. But as I said, there are things we can do at a relatively simple stage. Improve line marking, things where we're going to increase the volume of traffic into what are typically more suburban roads. We've now got a significant collector road which is going to link the Guns of Stone with the township of Lithgow. So there's an opportunity just by putting some line marking in to help build some safety into there. So they're things that people are talking to me about, as well as Councillor Stephen rightly talks to, as well as all those connecting roads between rural communities. But I'll leave it at that, and I'll put it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Money.
Excuse me, can I just ask a question?
You can ask a question, yes?
I can. Councillor Marnie, would you seriously think of dropping the public meeting? Let's do that after we see some improvements. We don't want an all-out war on our staff. Our staff are under a lot of pressure.
Councillor Statham, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. What public meeting?
Are you still serious about having a meeting, like a public meeting?
That's not what he's moving, Councillor Statham.
All right.
That's not what he's moving. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. Thank you. Councillor Marnie, you're up again. 6.3, Councillor Marnie, New South Wales Local Government Conference, Development of State Assistance Grants to support the delivery of essential infrastructure across regional New South Wales. You're moving your recommendation. Can you speak to your recommendation? And I'm happy to second this.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The motion is that we advocate and use any opportunity. Obviously, the state conference for local government provides an opportunity as well, but it's looking to develop a state assistance grant to support the delivery of essential infrastructure across regional New South Wales. So essentially, we have a federal system, which is the financial assistance grants, which are the acronym is FAG, suggesting that we make a deliberate decision in New South Wales to introduce a state assistant grant, which has an unfortunate acronym of SAG, but that probably characterises the decline of infrastructure across regional New South Wales. So in some ways, there is an opportunity to arrest that SAG by putting the money into it. Look, lots of councillors again have spoken to the fact that population densities on the East Coast, where a lot of population-based formulas see some of the federal assistance grants going, the financial assistance grants going from the federal government. This provides an opportunity. I know Councillor Ring will speak to an impact on regional councils when major state significant developments are occurring, that they'll often wear the underlying costs. So this is just an opportunity again to go back into those lobbying and advocacy situations to look for a deliberate infrastructure fund to regional New South Wales, understanding that we can have very small population councils. That probably one of the most challenged one, and there are some deliberate decisions that are made there, is the Central Darling Council out in the far west. So there will be times that if we want to maintain fit for purpose infrastructure across the state, we are going to have to invest outside the major arterial roads.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. I really like this concept. I think it's well worth pursuing. I think that if we can lobby or advocate for more assistance from the state government, then I think this is a good pathway to do that. Local government is an arm of the state government, and we should hold them accountable for providing support to us. And I think this is a very good piece of dialogue that we need to have. Any further debate on this matter? Councillor Ring?
Look, I support this. Recently in the Finance Committee, we had a report on cost shifting by the state government. I think it was around $450 per ratepayer. I could be wrong. That's the impact of the government, both state and federal, of dumping work onto councils without adequately funding us. Anything that increases our share of the pie that provide for our residents has got to be supported. If it doesn't get up this time, then we keep trying. We just keep pushing it. We need to get a better cut or a better model for funding councils, particularly regional.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Any further debate on this matter? Right, a reply, Councillor Marnie, or are you happy for me to put it? All right, so I'll put that. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. 6.4, Councillor Ring, state significant developments. Is there a seconder, Councillor Ring? And can you please read out your motion?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Councillor Frederick.
Basically, the motion. Where are we? Sorry, I've got to get on the right page.
Page 71.
71, sorry, there's a few pages back. I'm just. Well. The recommendation is just quite simply that the council endorse the motion on state significant development to be for consideration at the 2025 annual Local Government New South Wales Conference. I've already spoken about this earlier, so I'll be fairly brief because I know we've only got a few more items and we can go home early. But look, at the end of the day, there's a lot of support from Central West JOs, Dubbo, Midwestern, to try and get a better deal for regional councils dealing with these projects. This is not targeting any particular project. It's the process overall. RESs were set up, yet they haven't particularly fared well because of the amount of work that's being done out of them. The guidelines, a lot of the instructional information applies to the RESs, which leaves us in the lurch. So, as I said, the work done by Midwestern is very informative. These projects impact on sewage, water, waste. Midwestern had a problem where one of the company's contractors, subcontractors, was not actually separating renewables from non-renewables. In the end, the council actually refused to take the waste. So we actually need to make sure we got proper guidelines, because if these projects happen, and as much as there are people that don't want them to happen, I understand their concerns. But if they go ahead and we aren't prepared and we haven't got good plans in place, as residents, we're all going to get screwed over. And we need to ensure that we've got a good dialogue with the government moving forward. Significantly, a 9,000 page plus document, if there's possibly not Lithgow, although we could end up with a couple of projects submitting EISs at the same time. That's a massive workload on staff. I don't believe it's unreasonable to go for 90 days. Bathurst and Oberon in the last week have just adopted very similar worded resolutions. Blaney is moving one tomorrow night. This, what I've put together, has been worked on with the mayors of Blaney, Oberon, Deputy Mayor of Bathurst, and I had input from General Manager of Forbes. So it reflects a broader concern with regional councils. Reason they're putting it up because if there's multiples that go up, that will attract the attention of the organisers, and hopefully they will lump them all together and put it in as one of the 100 notices that will be debated. If there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but basically I think I've already said it.
Thank you, Councillor Ring. Councillor Fredericks?
First, I'd like to say thank you for the very detailed semi-report you've got here. It does go into some serious details about what we would be facing, and I thank you for getting all that information off the Midwestern councils. It does give us an outlook of what we could very well be facing, and I fully support it. It's going to make the transition, if we have to go through it, run a little bit smoother. So thank you.
Any further commentary? Councillor Smith?
I totally agree with what Councillor Ring's put forward here. I think this should have been done a long time ago. And if you look back at your other two things you were putting up as well with this motion, one is about the coal royalties and stuff like that. I think that should have been pushed a long time ago, and that's where this town should have been setting the platform for the future, which they've failed to do. So at least we're having a shot now, and I think he's done a very good job on the whole thing.
Thank you, Councillor Smith. Councillor Marnie?
I agree with the other councillors, what they said in the work that Councillor Ring's put into it. I also note that the proposal to go to 90 days for a 9,000 page, the other people that have got to try and digest this sort of stuff are community members, and they do other work and they've got to try and do this at night, accepting that staff have got other jobs to go on with as well, but there's a big impost on the community to try and digest this and provide a meaningful response in 28 actual days. So I think that's a really important step as far as having a genuine consultative process going. Thank you, Councillor Ring, for your work on that.
Thank you, Councillor Marnie. Before I give you a right of reply, is there any further debate? Did anybody else want to have to say anything before I do? No? Before I give you back right of reply, people need to understand how much work Councillor Ring has put into this. He actually took charge, led the way. He actually took it to the joint organisation. He worked with the Mayor from Oberon. He worked with the Mayor from Blaney and the Deputy Mayor from Bathurst constantly for weeks and weeks, and came to this point, which we've got it here in front of us tonight. And full congratulations to you, Councillor Ring. You used the opportunity, you used the joint organisation the way it should be, as a collective. And that's how the joint organisation needs to be worked as a collective, because we, regional councils, need to work together, because we will have to do the heavy lifting in this space. So congratulations, Councillor Ring.
Thank
now
you,
I'm
Mayor.
going to give you your right of reply.
No, just put it.
Okay, I'll put all those to you. All those in favour? All those against? Declare that carried. I've got business of great urgency. Do we have any items? Councillor Evangelides.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to let the council and community know about the code of conducts that have involved myself and their status. So there were 10 complaints.
Point of order. Code of conducts aren't to be discussed in open council.
No, it can't be discussed unless there is. Are you doing an apology, Councillor Evangelides?
I am.
Okay, unless it's not a code. Are you providing an apology or something? Yes.
Yes.
And Councillor, if the General Manager wanted to speak.
Through you, Mayor. I am aware of this matter, and this is in fact the end of the process. So with Councillor Evangelides' statement, the matter will be concluded. So it's a finalised matter, and it has been agreed that with Councillor Evangelides to provide this statement to the open council meeting.
In that case, I'll withdraw the point of order and apologise.
That's fine, Councillor. I had my doubts as well, but Councillor Evangelides, go ahead.
Thank you. So there were 10 complaints made against me in my first few months of being a councillor, which might be some sort of record, perhaps. Of the 10, 6 were discarded. One of the remaining 4 was referred to the OLG prior to the investigation, to which they confirmed it was an honest mistake. I'd filled out a form incorrectly. I'm happy to say none of the others were referred to a higher authority. However, it was recommended that apologies should be made regarding the private responses I sent to 2 people, to which they then chose to make public. I wish to apologise to the GM and to the community for not ignoring these people and responding to their private messages with colourful language. My responses were born out of frustration of witnessing months of lies, defamation and serious allegations, all in a public forum without any basis or truth. But regardless, the language I used was not befitting of an elected representative. The GM and community can be assured it's not something I would ever do again, well, not during my time as a councillor anyway. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evangelides. Okay, any further items of business of great urgency? No. Okay, then.
Sorry, Mayor.
Yes, Councillor Money.
I've just had a few people come to me from Portland just about water supply. My understanding is that they've had up to in excess of a dozen outages of water during the 12-month period, and I know we've talked a bit about water supply and obviously need to have a service charter. You know, if we're not able to meet these, we need to know what's the pathway forward as far as, like, do we need renewal of significant amounts of infrastructure out there or not? So I don't...
Councillor Marnie, I'm happy to take that on notice. Mr Trapp, I understand we have an infrastructure committee meeting next week. Next week, what date is that? Do we know? Tuesday. Are we happy to discuss it there?
I am. I'll actually provide something in writing to Mr Trapp.
And we can follow it through. That's why that committee is so important.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. There's no further business. I'm sorry, but we now have to go into closed council. Can I please ask that you leave if that's okay? Thank you.
Chairman, I think you've got to give the reasons for going to closed council.
Yes, you're correct. So we've got to go into closed council because we're dealing with items of confidentiality. The council resolves to move into closed council to consider the confidential report as listed. I need someone to actually move that if we could, please.
Just before business of great urgency, I put in November, I think it was, a request to have something done with the old Portland Hospital. Could you please give me an update on that? Because
we'll have to take it on notice, Councillor Statham.
This is not the first time.
Yeah, I understand.
It's got to a stage where it needs to be given a penalty infringement notice.
The General Manager can take manage of that. So I've got that record. So Councillor Ring, you're moving that. Can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Goodwin, are you happy to second that we go into closed council? If there's no opposition, that's carried. Thank you. Thank you and welcome back to the council meeting. I will hand over the reins, so to speak, to the General Manager who will read out the recommendations just passed in closed council.
Through you, Mayor. Item 8.1, Council resolved that Council awarded the contract for services for the Growth Management Strategy Project to Macau, New South Wales, with an upper limiting fee of $700,880, excluding GST. Item 8.2, Council resolved that Council defer the report and bring it back to the next feasible ordinary meeting of Council. And item 8.3, the Council formally resolved not to submit an expression of interest in its own right for the Pacific National Lithgow sites and instead adopt a clear advocacy role by 1, continuing to request urgent state and federal government intervention to acquire the site through the National Reconstruction Fund or related precinct and infrastructure programs. 2, providing data and precinct planning support to assist ministers, the National Rail Advocate and the Office of National Rail Industry Coordination in developing a government-led acquisition pathway. 3, continue to advance Council's precinct planning and stakeholder engagement, ensuring that the site's future use aligns with Lithgow's emerging economy plan, regional freight and logistics reform, and national rail defence transition objectives. And 4, writes to the Minister for Transport, New South Wales, and the Minister for Industry and Innovation, Commonwealth, formally advising of Council's position and seeking urgent confirmation of intergovernmental negotiations to secure the site. Thank you.
Thank you, General Manager. I now close the meeting. It's 9:31. Good evening and good night and travel safely.